안녕하세요, 여러분. 저는 소라입니다.
And I'm Ed, and you're listening to the
Vamos a Jeju podcast.
So welcome to today's episode of the Vamos a Jeju podcast. Today we are going to dig into the weeds a little bit, and that's because we're going to be talking about how much you can expect to budget for your trip to Jeju. With me, as always, is the fabulous Sora. So Sora, can you give the audience a view of what we're going to be covering today about budgeting?
So today we're going to talk about a budget of accommodation like hotel or Airbnb in Jeju, and also the transportation, like different kind of transportation, like for rent-a-car or public buses, and also food, drink, and then the admission fee in general in Jeju.
So that sounds like everything from A to Z about what people can expect to have to spend when they're having their fabulous time when they vamos a Jeju. So with that, let's get started. I guess you said earlier the first thing we're going to talk about is the cost of flights.
So let's talk about from Seoul, which is Gimpo Airport, to Jeju Island, or from Busan, the Gimhae Airport to Jeju, like domestic flight inside Korea.
Okay, so what kind of a budget are we talking about here?
So from Seoul to Jeju, I think the maximum, most expensive ticket one way would be like 10만 won, like 100,000 won, which is around 70 US dollar. Or round trip maximum can be like 150 US dollar. But if you are in a low season or in the middle of weekday, especially Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, it's a lot cheaper. So sometimes I get ticket like 20,000 Korean won, which is like 15 USD.
If you can book like early in the morning or late in the day, the price is also pretty dang good. I think I've paid as low as like 25 US dollars one time. So I was quite happy about that. But then you need to balance that with like, okay, you're going to arrive very early in Jeju. So you got to plan for like what you're going to do before you can check in. One question I had for you, Sora, was how about baggage? Does the fares that we just talked about include carry-on baggage only, or does it also include check-in baggage?
For, the major company like Korean Air or Asiana Air, they always include 20 kilogram of baggage. And for the LCC, low-cost carrier like Jeju Air or Jin Air, right?
Air
Those kind of,
Busan.
they include usually 15 kilogram of check-in bag.
And talk to me about carry-on for the low-cost carriers. Is there a different rule or?
Carry-on, I think like for those major one, 10 kilo of carry-on and your backpack. And the low-cost carrier, they have like different rules, but I think it's usually the same because I've never got caught in front of the gate because of my bag.
Well, for me, I was flying Jeju Air, and I did not get caught at the gate. I was asked to weigh my bags at check-in. But for foreigners flying domestically, we actually don't get the mobile QR code anymore as a boarding pass. We used to, but I think something changed in 2025. And so now we actually have to go stand in line at the check-in counter and then have our bags weighed and then get the actual paper, old school boarding pass. And so that was where I was asked to weigh the bags, both my backpack and my wheelie bag, and it was over 10 kilograms. So they asked me to check in the bags for free, but it just meant that I only could carry my backpack with me. So
also for domestic flight, you should show them your 그거 뭐지? 보조 배터리?
Yes, power bank is sometimes
power
hard.
banks, right?
Mm.
Power banks.
Mm-hmm.
You need to show them first, and then you need to get the tag that this bag has no power bank.
That's a little bit more troublesome. But then on the flip side, when you fly domestically, you actually can bring your water bottle and your liquids. So that's nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So if you're coming in from like the outside of Korea, don't throw away your water, your drinks, whatever, because it's perfectly fine to bring it on board for domestic flights. So how about food and drinks? Are there food and drinks served on these short flights to Jeju?
I think only for Korean Air Asiana, they give you just water and some soft drink, but other LCC, no. After pandemic, we don't have it, I think.
Yes, that's correct. I don't remember getting anything at all on my Jeju and Jin flights. I guess then the next question is, oh, how much do I pay for the internet? And the good news is you pay nothing. The bad news is there's no internet on the plane.
Well, it's just 1 hour flight. You don't really
Yeah.
need internet, so yeah.
Yeah. And for these kind of planes, don't expect any USB charging for your phone or anything. It is just a bus with wings.
Actually, it is more frequent than a bus in Jeju. Like we have flight, I think every 15-20 minutes from Gimpo, Seoul to Jeju.
Right. It is actually the world's most busy flight route. That covers what people should be budgeting for the flight to Jeju. Now that they're there in Jeju, can you talk us through what people should be budgeting for accommodations?
So I think if you are a budget traveler, actually you can have like very cheap hostel, like dormitories. It can be like $20, 20 US dollar for bunk bed in a hostel. Or if you are traveling with friends, I would recommend to get a decent hotel, like 3-star. It's around like 80, 100 US dollar. It's like with a good location and like clean room, nice view, these kind of stuff. I think like 100 USD. And if you have enough budget, it can be like very luxurious as well. I think now the most expensive one is JW Marriott. They opened like a few years back, and it's around 100만 won. So it's around like I would say
700? About
700 USD,
yes.
right?
Earlier you mentioned about budget travelers, and then you hopped to like hotels. I think you missed a middle portion, which is the place that I often stay in. Like I'm too old now to stay in hostels with bunk beds. I like my own room, but when I travel alone, I'm a budget traveler. And so I like to stay in these old Korean hotels. They call them motels. I'm not sure why. It's not a motor hotel, but it's just called motels. And usually I can get it for about like 30 US dollars. And it is not the JW Marriott at all. But at least you have your own room, and it takes some getting used to. But we'll talk about this old Korean hotels more in another episode. Do you have any experience pointing guests to Airbnb?
Also, like some of my friends, like foreign friends, when they visit Jeju, they usually book a Airbnb near the ocean so they can experience the feeling of the beach side or the forest and like traditional Jeju style. And the price is actually, it depends, but it's kind of expensive, like hotel. So yeah.
But I guess one of Airbnb's value propositions is that if you're in a group, like a family or 4 or 5 people, maybe an Airbnb in a house near the beach makes a lot of sense. But then the other thing I was thinking about is that Airbnb also has a lot of the hotels and the motels in Jeju City. So I guess don't think of Airbnb as just a apartment or a house. A lot of times, especially in Jeju City, it is actually a hotel.
Yeah, actually lots of pension, they do have their own listing on Airbnb.
Okay.
So
and I'm sure we'll talk more about what pension is and bucks, but that probably should wait for the next another episode. So what else do we need to talk about regarding accommodation? We've got around $20 for hostels in a bunk bed. We've got about $30-ish for a older kind of a Korean hotel. And then we jumped up to about $70, $80, $90 for a more modern hotel. And then we just went all the way to the moon with the JW Marriott at about $700. So Sora, we've talked about the flight to Jeju and we've talked about the accommodations, but now that you're there and you're all checked in, you need to get around, right? So what are some of the options that people can consider and what are the price points they should factor in regarding getting transportation and getting around in Jeju?
So I think they say most popular option in Jeju is rent a car because if you have international driver license, you can just rent a car very easy. And it costs around like less than $100 per day, of course, including the insurance and then roadside assistance. So yeah, that's why a lot of people choose rent a car in Jeju and it's quite easy to get around. But if you are not comfortable with like driving in a new place, maybe you can also use public transportation like bus or taxi. So the bus, it costs usually like $1 for for going to somewhere. And taxi is quite expensive. What do you think?
Right. The biggest thing to consider is like how much luggage you're bringing and how many of you are in the party. So like if it's like a family of 4 with a lot of bags, you might want to use the Uber app to book a extra large taxi. To clarify, Uber in Korea doesn't mean a part-time person. It is actually a real taxi, and you want to book an extra large taxi. And it will actually be easier and also maybe even cheaper because of how many people you are. Buses in Korea, you're not supposed to bring up big luggage up onto the bus. But I think you told me that sometimes the drivers don't say anything. They just don't want to deal with it. There are other buses like tourist coach buses where you can just load your luggage from the roadside into a storage bay and then get on the bus. So, but not every bus has that. So I guess if it's your first time to Jeju and you have a lot of luggage, maybe just use the Uber app, I think.
Right.
And
Yes.
that would be around like how much?
If you are staying in Jeju City, it's gonna be like 10 USD. But if you're staying in Seogwipo, like the southern part, it's gonna be, I would say more than like around $50.
So that is the taxis and then the buses. And are there like airport buses just like in Seoul? And these are the red buses or a different color?
Right. We do have airport bus in Jeju as well. I think it's also red. You can take the bus like arrival from the airport and then it takes you to the Jeju city and then the southern city. So
Okay.
yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah, and I think it goes to Songsan, Yuchubong also, and a few other places. I think that's like $4. It's a bit more expensive than the regular
like 6,001.
Yeah. All that work has made me hungry. So I need some food. Let's talk about food and drinks because I know that just as anywhere else in the world, it can be very cheap and then it can also be really expensive. It will be like the JW Marriott of eating. It can be very expensive too. Talk us through what some of the price points are about food and drinks in Jeju.
I want to say that like lots of Korean from Mainline, they complain that Jeju is so expensive, like especially for food and coffee. But as a local, for me, I'm like, you don't know where to go. So if you know the places, it's not that expensive. Like for example, the coffee can be like $1 from $1 to like $7. So if you go to like Mega Coffee, Compost Coffee, can be like $1 or $2. But if you go to like fancy coffee shop, can be like $7, $8. And for
But that's the same in Seoul, though. I mean, what's the difference?
That's the same. But the thing is, when the people from Seoul, they come to Jeju and they want to enjoy like different fancy stuff. So
Right. I think maybe people just like to complain.
Yeah, exactly. Koreans like
I
to
spend a
complain.
lot of time in Seoul and I spend a lot of time in Jeju. It's like, it's quite similar, the price. To be fair, I don't eat like super expensive seafood, so I don't know about that part of it. But like for the low end, like 10만 won, like 10,000 won is enough for food. Like,
Yeah,
in a
enough,
restaurant.
more than
Yeah,
enough.
yeah.
So for food as well, 10,000 won, like
Yeah.
$7, you can have like full meal, like your favorite 일품 순두부. And then it can,
Sure.
and then of course it can get like very expensive, like $100 for one person. There's like course meal, and we also have some like famous like Michelin star restaurant. Then of course it's more expensive.
Right. But I guess if you're on a budget, if you budget $7 for a meal, that should be plenty. And if you're on a very tight budget, you could also look into getting some of the food at a 편의점, a convenience store. And that could bring your price down a little bit more.
Actually, I think there's many like different combination that you can have in convenience store. You can find it on YouTube. Like you get one cup noodle and then you put cheese in it, and then you put the 삼각김밥, like the triangle
Yes, triangle
rice.
kimbap, yeah.
Like
Yes.
all those combination can be like 5,000 won, which is $3.
Right, and in some convenience stores, you can even pick a chicken drumstick and fish sausage, and that'll get a little bit expensive. If you are looking at trying to save a few bucks, the convenience store is actually a very good option. And bonus, it is open 24 hours a day. So that's like more Korean kind of food. But what if I'm from the US and I miss my American food? What are some of the options like McDonald's?
So like McDonald's, like for combo, I think it can be like 10,000 won, so around $7. And actually, I really
Right.
like the coffee from McDonald's, and the coffee is like 1,300, so less than $1, and it's really really good.
Like this may not be so relevant for people from other countries, but in America, tipping is a huge part of your dining out bill. And also specific to America, you actually have to add sales tax on top of that. As in Korea, and I guess most of the world, there's no tipping usually, and the tax is already calculated in the price. So when Sora says this is going to cost like 10만 won, 10,000 won, that's the final price. So when you pay, its bill should just say 10,000. So we've got the food and drinks. I guess the last thing on our list is admission cost to attractions. My favorite price for attractions is free. Luckily for me, there's a lot of good free places to go to. Like the national museums are free. Not all museums, but the ones that are national are free, even for visitors. And then obviously there are many free places to go, like the Orums for hiking and all that. Those are all free. There's no admission at all. And I believe the Arboretum is also free, the sinh物馆, right? But then not everything is free. So how much can people expect to pay, Sora, for those attractions that are priced?
So for example, like Seongsan Sunrise Peak, it was 5,000. So usually if it's the government supported place, like protected area, then it's usually like 5,000, less than 5,000. 주상절리, it's also like 2,000, 3,000. So which is like around less than $3. But if it's like private property, then they can charge a lot more. A lot more means like $10 to get in.
Oh, and I should add that Halasan is a free admission to climb, but you have to register, and they only allow a controlled number of people a day. So even though it's free, you do have to get the admission by registering to climb.
In Jeju, admission fee is usually free or under $5, so you don't really have to worry about those admission fees.
So I guess other things about admission fees is like going for tangerine picking. That is like pay for the experience. You sell like what, 5,000 won? 10,000 won?
10,000 won.
Okay, about $7. I guess that covers the entire spectrum of flight, accommodations, transportation, food and drinks, and the cost of admission. Is there anything else that I missed that you think we should cover, Sora?
I think I just want to say, because people usually think like Jeju is super expensive, but it is not true. As you mentioned, like Jeju has like similar charm of Hawaii, but it's a lot cheaper. So I think you should visit Jeju. It's not expensive. You need to come and see the truth.
Now, here's the part of the show where, as always, we share some essential Korean phrases that we think will be very helpful for you when you come to Jeju, and of course, Korea in general. We call it Handy Korean with Sora Sam. So, Sora, what are we going to share with our audience today?
So today, let's talk about the sign-on numbers in Korean, because when you talk about the price, we need to use sign-on numbers in Korean. Let's start with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's gonna be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And to talk about the price, you know that $1 now is around 1,400 Korean won. So we have to learn 100, 1,000, and 10,000 to use this when you travel. And you can put 1 at the end of the number. So you can say, for example, like if it's 301 Korean currency, 3 gonna be 3, 100, 100, and then 1, the currency. So it's gonna be 301. Then Ed, can you tell me what is 4,001 in Korean?
So 4 is sa, and 1,000 is ton, and 1 is 1. So it'll be saton 1.
Right, it's easy for you. But for the beginner, now the confusing part is starting. Because in Asian culture, like in Korean, Japanese, Chinese, we cut every 4 0. But in English, Spanish, you cut every 3 0 digit, every 3 digit. So
Right.
then how do you say 50,001 in Korean?
So 50,001 is actually said 5, 10,000.
Yes, exactly.
So it'll be 5만 won.
Right.
Don't think of it as 50. You think of it as 5.
Right,
5,
it's not
10,000s.
50. It's like 5 and 10,000.
So I've noticed with my Korean friends that sometimes they get confused as well when they think in their head a Korean number and then they want to say it in English or Spanish or French. They often have to like count the number of zeros in their brain. So pop quiz, your turn. Sora, how do you say 1 million in Korean?
1 million? 100만 원.
100만 won, which is literally 110,000.
Right. This one I remember. So, but if it's like billion, then I was like, how many zeros? Okay,
so that's a lot of numbers, but at least now we've armed our audience with some ability to think about prices, and especially given today's episode of budgeting for their Jeju trip. So if you'd like to see more about the phrases and the numbers that we covered today, go ahead and check out our show notes. And if today's episode has gotten you thinking, maybe I want to go to Jeju and count some numbers, we've got something for you. We've taken everything that Sora and I know about visiting Jeju as a DIY traveler and put it into a 14-part email series.
So to get that email straight to your inbox, just sign up at vamos@jeju.com/start. For the latest update, you can also follow us, Vamos at Jeju, on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook group. And finally, the best way for a new podcast like ours to grow is organically. So if you found this episode helpful, please share us with your friends. And who knows, maybe we will vamos a Jeju together.
And with that, all that's left for us to say is
안녕.
Adios.
Bye
Hasta
bye. Au
luego.
revoir.
再见. Sayonara.
Ciao.
Get all our latest articles, videos, and resources on Jeju DIY travel, culture, and history at vamosajeju.com. That's VAMOSAJEJU.com. If you would like to get updates about Jeju or even Korea sent straight to your email, sign up for our dispatches at vamosajeju.com/update. And finally, the best way for a new podcast like this to grow is organically. So if you found this episode helpful, please share us with a friend. And who knows, maybe you'll Vamos a Jeju together this year. The Vamos or Jeju podcast is part of the Passport Optional Network.